Before we start with the Quran class presentation, I would like to briefly introduce our Quran class team. First, I would like to mention that we are very proud and privileged to have Brother Samir Amiri as our advisor of our Quran department. Everyone loves Salawat. For beginner 1 and 2, the Quran teacher is Brother Wahid Hydari. He is one of the most experienced Quran teachers and has been teaching Quran at IECOC for more than 5 years, and also gives Quran classes on Salam TV. Sorry we could not make it tonight, but we are very blessed to have him on our team. The children really enjoy his interactive method of teaching, and I'm sure they have told you about it. Next, to introduce our Intermediate 1 Quran class teacher. I just want to mention that leaders are ordinary people, but have extraordinary qualities. When they use their talents and abilities for the sake of Allah and for the love of Ahlul Bayt, they are able to take the community to the next level. And we are very fortunate and blessed to have him as our principal. He is none other than Brother Hassan Zaid. And we have a loud salawat for him also. Teaching our Intermediate 2 Quran class, a brother who is very talented teacher, Brother Shahrukh Purnazari. He has been teaching Quran at Ahlul Bayt Mosque. He also could not be here today. Can we also recite aloud salawat for him? Now I would like to introduce our advanced Quran teacher, who will briefly be talking to you about all of our Quran classes. He's a young brother who started teaching Quran at a very young age. He is very skilled and experienced teacher. He's our advanced Quran teacher, which we are very honored to have on our team. Please welcome Brother Taha Darsi with a loud salawat.
Just to mention the class structure for all the Quran classes, have been asked by the team here to represent my brothers for the other classes due to their absence. So inshallah I'll be going over briefly the curriculum that will be taught during this whole year for the different Quran classes that we have. For the first Quran class, which is beginner 1 class, and is taught by Brother Wahid Hydari, our main goal for the year is after the completion of the first academic year, children from beginner 1 would first be able to recognize letters with their proper pronunciation. And it's not just, like how children in school learn ABCD in a nice tune from A to Z, and then if someone asks randomly, they don't know. Here we're trying in this class that children and students are able to recognize letters on their own, so that it's helpful for them when they're reciting the Quran, they can properly recognize each letter. So the main purpose will be recognizing the letters in its individuality with the proper makhraj and pronunciation. Other than that, the other goal for this class, for this academic year, would be understanding the first 3 basic short vowels, Fatha, Kasra and Dhamma, and how the letters are pronunciated with it. The basic pronunciation vowels A, I, U, that would be taught during this class along with the recognition of the letters from Lif Jihad. Moving on to class beginner 2, which is also being taught by Brother Wahid Hydari. The goal of this class is at the end of the year, the students should be able to recognize letters as they appear in words. Remember, letters, how they appear individual is a bit different from how they appear in a structured word. Because, for example, let's take Ghain. When you look at Ghain as an individual letter, it has a whole tail at the end. But if you plug that letter in between a word, it's written or scripted in a bit different way. So students need to be able to recognize these letters, how they are also formed in words. How they appear as the first letter of the word, how they appear in the beginning or middle or the end of the word. That way they will have less they would stumble less when they're trying to recite the Holy Quran, because they'll have a better understanding and recognition of the letters to be able to pronounce them correctly. Other than that, the second goal of this class would be able to recite complex 3 to 6 letter words with again the basic 3 vowels, Fatha, Kasra, Dhamma. And other than that, which would be included as part of this class, would be understanding and using the concept of the Sakin or Sukoon and how letters are joined together using this rule of Sakin. Other than that, lastly, for this class, the goal would be to instill in students the understanding of the 3 different long vowels and how the letters are pronounced with them. You know, basically the A, E and long U vowels. Moving on for intermediate one, which is taught by Brother Hassan Zahid, the goal of this class would be that at the end of the year, the student is able to also, along with all that they have learned in the previous classes, i.e. be able to read from complex words that have sakin, long vowels, short vowels, be able to recognize and read these words properly. They're also able to apply tanween, which is pair vowels, on. Other than that, the concept of shadda, how the letters are doubled because of that, the W sign that's on top of it. Other than that, joining 2 words together. As sakin, as we know, it joins 2 letters together. There are certain times in the Holy Quran when 2 words are joined together with a sakin on the lam of the next word. So how to recite 2 words joined together in order to have a better fluent recitation of the Holy Quran. Moving on, also, they would be able to understand the concept of mad, i.e. the stretching vowels, how long vowels are stretched to be able to give a more beautiful recitation. Other than that would be the rules of stop sign, like how we have the ayahs of the Quran and the basic commas and pauses like Jim and Ta that we have, because this is also an essential part of the recitation of the Quran, as we all would agree when we are learning English grammar. If a proper pause is not given at a proper place in a sentence, it completely changes the meaning of that sentence. If a comma or an explanation or a proper pause is not given at the correct place, it completely changes the meaning of that particular sentence. So when it comes to the Holy Quran, it is very essential and important that we try our level best to recite it in the intended way that it is taught to us by Ahlul Bayt and by the standards that have been put forward by the ulama, so that we do not in any way intentionally or unintentionally change the meanings of the words of the Holy Quran. Lastly, at the end of the year, for the intermediate one, the goal would be that the students would be able to read complex words that include all of these concepts that have been taught from the beginning of the class. That includes short vowels, long vowels, sakin, tanween, shadda, all of this together, and they would be able to read complex sentences by the end of this year, inshallah. As far as the curriculum and the course for the intermediate class 2, which is going to be taught by Brother Shahrukh Punzari, the goal of this class would be, now that the student from intermediate 1 has been able to, or is at this stage that they are able to read complex statements and sentences from the Holy Quran, they would be taught the proper etiquette of the recitation of the Holy Quran, like how to begin the recitation, as taught to us by our Ahlul Bayt. Like, we have to recite A'udha at the beginning, start with the Basmala, reciting the Bismillah, and when someone else is reciting the Holy Quran, we should be silent. So all of these etiquettes that are necessary during the recitation of the Holy Quran as an individual who is reciting, and those in the class environment who are also being part of that Quran recitation. Other than that, what would be focused in this class, that by the end of the year, the student is able to recite the Holy Quran with proper fluency. Because our main aim and goal is, as Brother Hassan mentioned, we do not want to be the only person reciting du'as and the Holy Quran in Jafia for the rest of the life. We'll be old and we'll be literally, me and him are always bickering, no, you recite the dua, he's like, no, you recite the dua. We would be able to, look back and, okay, Qadim, you go recite dua, or Meher, you recite that dua. We would be proud to be able to pass on this heritage to the coming generations, inshallah. So fluency is very essential because, as you know, especially when there's Amal of Laylatul Qadr, everybody's like, this guy's really, really slow. So if the child is able to recite fluently, inshallah, the recitation of Dua Joshin Kabir will seem to be like we have recited Dua Joshin Saghir, so it's going to flow very nicely, inshallah. Other than that, inshallah, the speed. As we all know, sometimes people need to rush and we need to hurry it up. So speed meaning not to rush so fast that they're making mistakes. We need to keep in mind that their speed does not compromise the recitation of the Holy Quran and its entirety and its standard. We want to keep up the standard of recitation to the extent that the child is able to recite the Holy Quran with as much as 0% of mistakes. That way, with that fluency, with that speed, inshallah, they can recite with confidence. Other than that, again, part of this is accuracy. They're able to accurately pronounce the different pronunciation, because we know, as in Arabic, there are many similar types of letters that are recited, Bad and Dha. It's very difficult to distinguish between this. So the child will be able to, inshallah, accurately distinguish between the sounds of such letters, accurately recite. Other than that, inshallah, for this class we have the memorization of certain chapters that they can help recite during their daily salat. Lastly, they should be able to recite Quran fluently with proper makhraj, with proper pronunciation. Again, that's the gist of all these points that have been mentioned. Lastly would be the advanced level class, which would be taught by this humble servant of yours, and inshallah I'll be going over the rules of tajweed. Basically the rules of tajweed that are taught over in madaris of Quran, and these rules that I have learned from many different qaris. Some of them you might have heard the name of Qari Mohsin, Qari Muhammad Hussain, and one was very he was very influential in Mursa Mosque in Pakistan, and there were 2 or 3 qaris that were in Dubai whom I studied under, and this is the curriculum that I learned from, the rules of tajweed from them, and inshallah I'll be happy to pass this on. And the basic aim and goal of the rules of tajweed is to beautify your recitation. Once you're able to master the fluency, these rules of tajweed help you flow your recitation better. And you can see the example of how brother Samir Amri recited the Holy Quran today. That rules of tajweed really makes that difference. It really helps flow the recitation of the Holy Quran. So inshallah, these are basically the list of the rules of tajweed that we'll be going over this year, and inshallah, once the student is able to grasp the concept of these rules and be able to apply these, they'll also be, inshallah, in future, we will all try our best to, inshallah, recite as closely as possible to Hajj Samir Amir. After this, inshallah, I would like to pass it on back to Sister Noshin. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam.